What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers, who is once again on the road. He beat me to Vegas by a few days. We're recording this Monday night. CR's already out there. I'll be there Thursday morning. How we doing? How we feeling? How's the road life treating you?
It's good, man. Smooth sailing. You could tell I'm holding my microphone this time.
I look at a little sideline reporter action here.
Right. I didn't even pack my mic stand. I was like, it was kind of heavy to bring to Senior Bowl. I needed every ounce of room I can get because Vegas is a little different. It's a longer trip. It is a further trip. You need plenty of clothes and nonsense and all those things. And I was not checking a bag. I just do everything in my power to avoid that these days. So holding the microphone, feeling good. Accommodations are great. Trip out here was really, really smooth, which always makes it easy. Fun week on Radio Row. It's going to be a lot of fun. But as always, we don't miss any time with Badlands. We really don't. No. I think we each do one vacation a piece in June where we find a fill-in. But we're always rolling, especially this time of year.
We have like a Cal Ripken like streak going.
An Iron
consistent
Man
weeks
streak.
with episodes.
Yes,
and we get the full slate again. No, we're recording this Monday night. It's going to hit your feed Wednesday morning. Connor and I haven't got a chance to riff on the drama around the team. So we're going to do that at the top. And then we're going to hit on just a very early preliminary top line overview of the available offensive free agents. We got plenty coming with War Room, with draft centric coverage, Senior Bowl recap from CR. We did a lot of that last week. We're going to keep the draft up to there. Today, we'll talk a little more of the pro stuff. And then just like we did last year, we'll have Connor's draft big board late February. We'll have my free agency big board early March. Keep it Dan nice and busy there in the CMS. At least it's built out already. So, all right, CR. Obviously, we've been texting about this a bit. Athletic article drops. Were you surprised by anything in it? And now it's been about a week, I think, since it came out. What is the % chance that Robert Saleh is the Jets head coach week one?
I wasn't really surprised. When I woke up that day, and it was one of those just never adult days. You and I have coined that phrase on this podcast. We have done podcasts on Thanksgiving. We have done podcasts from the shore in July. I mean, nothing ever surprises you with this team. And I woke up Senior Bowl week, and when I saw it, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a doozy. And then I read it, and I'm not criticizing the reporting or anything. There was obviously a lot of work done, but I don't think anybody really came away and was shocked that there was dysfunction, that there was issues, that there was a disconnect. Clearly, plenty of it from the Zach Wilson side. We've known that party has been upset about things, and the Jets have been upset with how it's worked out with him. It wasn't just that. I think the only nugget that was kind of new to me was the phones situation. Robert Saleh was asking for people's phones so they wouldn't get in trouble. It's a little bit of a weird situation, but
not great.
The actual bomb of the week that did not coincide. I know people assumed right away it coincided with the article or had to do with the article or was connected to the article, and it didn't. I've talked to people about this. Was Rex Hogan being let go? It wasn't. Yes. Just so people know, and I think most people know this by now. The Jets, that article didn't come out, and then the Jets sat down Rex Hogan, blamed him for all of it, and let him go. That's not how
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It does not work that way. This was in the going on behind the scenes for a little bit, and Joe and I have talked about that too. It was weird that, if you weren't going to move on from Joe Douglas, you don't shake up some of the staff, and they did. That was a pretty big bomb that their assistant GM was being let go. A guy that's worked for the Jets twice, in two different capacities in a very, very high role. But no, I think, the problem is when I walked away from that article, and I already thought this, but it just enhanced it and made it very public. You look at all the excuse making and the finger pointing, especially with Saleh, the quarterback they drafted second overall, the fact that the front office was not really held accountable in the article, which I'm not saying that one of the 30 sources was front office people, but if there was really 30 sources, you would think maybe some of the front office was involved as well. So you could say they're pointing the finger as well. And then all the dysfunction on the offensive staff, you just wonder, are the right people in charge? And when I tweeted out that I wonder, a lot of people were responding like, no, you idiot. Like, we know. And I'm just kind of being a little polite around it. It's hard to have a lot of faith in the people in charge right now. And there's, sure, certain outliers like Jeff Ulbrich, who was down at the Senior Bowl. And I did tweet out too. I was like, I wonder if this article dropped on purpose while Ulbrich was coaching at the Senior Bowl, and I didn't mean that in a light that he's the source. He's not, okay? It's that Ulbrich did media avails with the Jets media after practice during the week. So it's a convenient time. Hey, this article drops out. You could actually ask him questions about it. But it just feels like right now the Jets, and I think Aaron Rodgers will help with this because he is very good at this aspect. The Jets are very siloed right now. And a lot of people listening to this have probably worked for a company that when there's some problems, it's because of silos. You could have your team has one mission, but that could be different from another team's mission. And then the entire organization doesn't have a clear goal. We've all been there before in different parts of previous jobs. The Jets scream that right now, right? You have a head coach that is clearly, and this is a problem with the Jets ownership structure because this happens all the time, a coach that is clearly more focused on public perception and keeping his job rather than actually anything football related. You have a defense that has done their job and is probably very frustrated with everything around them because they're the only ones that consistently seem to get the football aspect down. And for Jeff Ulbrich, who wants a head coaching job, this dysfunction around the organization hasn't helped him. The offense that goes, well, Aaron got hurt. Like, what could we have done? A front office that has had good draft picks, and they've also had bad draft picks, notably the quarterback, and some bad free agent decisions, where they're saying, well, if we had better coaching, we'd get more out of our roster. When everybody's doing that, how can you accomplish anything as a main goal? This isn't me criticizing one individual or singling anything out. The Jets, as they often do, have an organizational problem. And to answer the second part of your question, Joe, I'm not sitting here and saying there's no way they don't move on from Robert Saleh. I'm not saying that it's likely because it's not. We're assuming he has Aaron Rodgers' blessing, right? And that is the most important, powerful aspect working for the Jets right now. If you have Rodgers' blessing, there's a 99.999% you are safe within the organization, right? Who has Aaron Rodgers' blessing right now? Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett. All three of those guys have, for the last year, essentially failed at their job. Call it what it is. It doesn't mean it's fireable, but they have failed for at least a year right now, but they have Rodgers' blessing. If he wakes up one day and says to Woody, and once again, this is not likely at all, but it still could exist, that possibility exists. Hey, this is actually dysfunctional. Can we call Pete Carroll or Mike Vrabel or whatever it is and just kind of see behind the scenes what the interest level is there? It just feels like we went from 100% that next year is Robert Saleh's year, and maybe we went to 98.5, which is a big drop-off this time of year because coaches do not get fired in February.
Yeah, I mean, look, GMs usually don't get fired in May, and the Jets have done that before.
Exactly.
So that's the only reason I wouldn't fully write it off, and I'm waiting to see if there is.
Remember when they cut David Harris in June?
Yeah, Jesus.
Like
Christ.
a Jets legend. I mean, this is the Jets. The Jets do this.
They do weird. The only reason I can't fully write it off is they have a history of doing things at a weird time. If there is another big report that gets a lot of press, I do wonder if that really kickstarts something, just because they hate that this is swirling around. I'm sure they'll address it, and not address it, but they'll have to talk about it in some shape or form at Combine or talk around it in some way.
Will they go?
Will they go?
Joe Douglas has to go to the Combine, but the article was about Robert Saleh. He hasn't gone to the Combine lately. It just feels like more reason he won't go, which is we'll get more into that when it happens.
Different conversation. Yeah,
it's another different
set of issues.
Yes.
Where's the head coach on the hottest seat imaginable at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine? Big question. And for Douglas,
by the way, sorry to cut you off. I just have to read this. David Harris Wikipedia. On June 6, 2017, in a surprising move, Harris was released by the Jets after 10 seasons. I'd heard a story that Woody just called, like the organization, like an organizational, everybody that was running things, and was like, yeah, like we're not paying that contract out. It's time, move on. In June, to a legend of the organization.
Just
so anything could happen.
Anything could happen. And I'm sure Joe Douglas is going to kick the can of the answer. Well, that's out of our control. We don't, we're going to try to keep things in house. What did he say about Saleh after the season? Like, he's the guy for the job because he's the guy for the job. I'm not expecting a ringing endorsement.
This is an all-time quote.
And I do also wonder if on the other end, we're going to get the drop about the front office, or is anyone going to be like, wait a minute, a lot of talk about this coaching staff, which certainly has a ton of flaws, and anyone could see that. But what about the record of this front office, which has been here longer than the coaching staff and is in Matt Millen territory from a win-loss percentage? It's hard right now. And the Jets, since they've done the Rex Ryan Gatorade bath after finishing the 2013 season 8-8. That's sort of been the culture. Just do barely enough to keep your job, celebrate that mediocrity. Harbaugh is talking about, we want to win multiple championships. The Jets are talking about, we want to win 7 games and score 20 points. It's an organizational wide thing.
Pathetic.
I will say, look, like, it's a bad taste in everyone's mouth right now. The vibes are, we were saying the vibes were immaculate in the summer. The vibes are not immaculate right now. That will pass as we get a little deeper into the offseason. The draft gets closer.